Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and once again, time for Twit's audience survey. We'd really like to hear from you. It's only going to take a couple of minutes, really. That's all. Just go to twit.tv/survey and let us know what you think. Your anonymous feedback will help us make Twit even better. And thanks for your continued support. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, January 22nd, 2017. This is episode 1357. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Rocket Mortgage from Quicken Loans. When it comes to the big decision of choosing a mortgage lender, work with one that has your best interest in mind. Use Rocket Mortgage for a transparent, trustworthy home loan process that's completely online at quickenloans.com/techguy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy here. Time to talk about computers and the internet and, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, virtual reality, self-driving cars, all that stuff, all that cool techno stuff. 8888 Ask Leo is my phone number if you want to join us. 888-827-5536. That's toll-free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can, of course, call. Just use Skype to call that number, and you should, Skype out. It should be free. 8888 Ask Leo. The website, techguylabs.com. techguylabs.com. Speaking of self-driving vehicles, kind of an interesting news story here. There have been a couple of Tesla crashes, right? And the U.S. Department of Transportation has been studying it. That May 7th collision, remember the car, the Tesla that ran into the tractor trailer across the road, killed the driver. The driver was apparently using Autopilot. Tesla said, the Autopilot couldn't see the truck because it was white, because of the colors. We've updated the Autopilot. We fixed it. And the Department of Transportation said the driver himself wasn't paying attention. He had 7 seconds to react and didn't. So blame all around. Maybe the driver thought the Autopilot was taking care of things. It wasn't. So maybe that's bad news for Tesla. But on the other hand, in that investigation, kind of an interesting fact came out. This is the NHTSA, the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration. They got all the data from Tesla. Tesla keeps track of a lot of stuff that's going on in your car. It's kind of a weird experience when you call Tesla and you say, hey, something weird happened. They go, we know. That's a little, okay. Yeah, we know. So Tesla handed over all of the information about all of the cars using Autopilot. And so the interesting thing about Teslas is I think all the cars have the hardware to do the Autopilot, but not all of them have the software. You have to pay extra for that. So they have data on cars, a large number of cars, that didn't have Autopilot, and then the owner bought it and did. About a third of the mileage on the cars was logged before the upgrade to Auto Steer. The remaining miles were accrued after installation. But the interesting fact coming out of this is Tesla crashes dropped 40% on cars where the owner went from no Autopilot to Autopilot. The crash rate per million miles was 1.3 before Auto Steer, 0.8 after. In other words, Autopilot saves lives. Autopilot saves lives. I think Tesla feels vindicated because, even Consumer Reports said, you got to recall that Autopilot. Maybe rename it would be the right thing because you don't want people to assume they don't have to drive the car. But, the car's pretty adamant. Keep your hands on the wheel, and if you don't, it'll let you know, and it'll say, I'm not going to keep doing this. I don't make me turn this Tesla over. Don't make me turn it around. I suppose I should update this story. I never reported it in the first place, but a lot of people did, saying that the messaging app WhatsApp is is insecure, is hackable, and then the creator of the protocol, the encryption protocol on WhatsApp, the protocol is from Open Whisper Systems. It's the same protocol used in the secure messaging app Signal. It's open source. The creator, Moxie Marlinspike, love his name, Moxie Marlinspike, I don't think that's his real name. I really don't. Did a blog post saying, that's wrong. The Guardian, which published this story that WhatsApp was cracked, said that's wrong. And now a large number of security professionals have written an open letter to the Guardian, the newspaper that said it was hackable, saying, you can't, you take it back. Take it back. There is no back door in WhatsApp, and that article was wrong, and it probably was, I guess you could probably qualify it as what we call link bait. It was written in a sensational way to drive traffic as opposed to a responsible way. So the message I'm passing along to you is WhatsApp is fine, it's secure. There is a setting you can turn on to make it even more secure, and that is when you're communicating with somebody and their key changes, you want to be notified before the message you sent goes to them. That would keep somebody from hijacking or modifying somebody's account and changing the key and still getting messages from you. And that was the vulnerability, but you can easily turn it off in the settings. Just say, I want to know if somebody's key's changed. Let me know. So we also have talked quite a bit about cyber warfare, right? I have said many times, I've talked a lot about this over the years, that our infrastructure, our grid is very vulnerable to cyber attack. And that would be one of the things an enemy would do if they were going to attack the United States. The first thing they'd do is turn off the power, right? That would be effective. Well, there's been a study, and it says the greatest threat to global critical infrastructure, not enemy states, not organizations, not even hackers, squirrels. Squirrels. Squirrels, well, not just squirrels, birds, rats, and snakes have been responsible for more than 1,700 power cuts affecting 5 million people. So, it's squirrels. Worry about the squirrels. Space Rogue discovered this or revealed this at a conference, a hackers conference. And animal-related blackouts tracked by Cyber Squirrel, which is a Twitter feed. It's been collecting information from Google alerts about power outages. It's almost always, squirrels. So now I should point out that the security guy from Panda Labs says the major difference between natural events, be they geological, meteorological, or furry, is that cyber attacks are deliberate and orchestrated by humans. Maybe they don't happen as much, but when they do, they're more serious, and I have to agree with that. Nevertheless, we've got to do something about the squirrel problem, clearly. Clearly. And really good news, if you're tired of robocalls, and who isn't, two guys who were originating millions of robocalls, illegally ignoring the do not call database that the FTC runs, have now been dismantled by the Federal Trade Commission. Did I say millions? Hundreds of millions of calls over the course of several years. The FTC filed complaints against two separate groups, and the defendants, these were robocall operations. Many of the calls, according to the FTC, to numbers on the DNC do not call list, which is illegal. According to the FTC's complaint, the defendants illegally blasted millions of robocalls in 2012 and 2013 to consumers on the Do Not Call registry, selling home security systems or generating leads for home security installation companies. But they were also doing auto warranties. I got a lot of those. So, shut down, and now there's is it a criminal complaint or a civil complaint? Probably a civil complaint against them. Justin Ramsey and Aaron Michael Jones, alleged. Alleged. I say that so I don't get sued. Alleged to make robocalls. They couldn't do that before the election. How many did you get? If you were in a swing state, probably nonstop, right? Just nonstop calls. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. All right, I want some calls. No robocalls, please, but your calls would be more than welcome, unless you have a really smart robot. Then I wouldn't mind hearing from it. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number when you call. There you have it. Kim Schaffer, the phone answer. What do we call you? The phone answerer?
I don't think I've officially...
You don't have a title?
I don't have a title.
Got to get you a title, man. Got to get you a title.
Titleless.
I invite our audience to come up with a title for Kim Schaffer. Yes. Meanwhile, titleless though she may be, she is answering the phones at 8888 Ask Leo. And have you arranged some wonderful people for us to speak with?
I have, and I think we're going to go local for the first one.
Oh, I like that.
Sort of local.
Okay.
Walnut Creek local.
Okay.
Jim Walnut Creek. Needs a new laptop.
We are on the fabulous KSFO in San Francisco.
We are?
Yes.
Nobody informed me of that.
Nobody informed me.
I think that...
You know who informed me? My father-in-law said, I heard you the other day on KSFO. I said, what?
I'm surprised he was listening to that station.
Yeah. He likes KSFO.
None of my insiders gave me that information.
I used to be, for years I was on KSFO and KGO. But KSFO, I'm glad to be back. Hello, KSFO.
Hello, KSFO.
And hello to Jim in Walnut Creek. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Leo.
Welcome.
Hey, long-time listener, sometime caller, one-time visitor.
Nice.
Appreciated the hospitality there.
You've been in the studio. You know, it's really just so exciting with the dancing girls and our house band playing for us. No, it's not.
You know, I've been in IT 43 years. I'm geeky enough to think that's exciting.
I like it. I'm not complaining. What can I do? What can I do for you, Jim?
So, good news is, after 43 years in IT, I'm about to retire.
Congratulations.
I think that's good, yeah. The bad news is, for the last bunch of years, I've been using my work computer as my personal computer.
Oh, and now you're leaving, and they're going to want that computer back.
Oh, yes, they are.
Oh no.
So what do I get, sir? And
well, tell me about your work computer and what you like and don't like about it. Windows machine?
Yeah, yes, it is. It's a ThinkPad. You know, it's
nice.
It's fairly light and nice and portable, and
good keyboard. We love the ThinkPad keyboards.
Yeah, keyboard's good. You know, a remote mouse makes it nice.
So you could get another ThinkPad.
Yes, I could. So the most demanding thing I probably use is Lightroom.
I love Lightroom. Okay.
Thousands of photos.
Okay, so you need a big hard drive. You need a fast hard drive. You need lots of RAM.
Yeah.
Lightroom is a photo editing program from Adobe. It's the little sister or big brother, I don't know which, to Adobe's Photoshop. In fact, often goes hand in hand. In fact, I don't know about you, but what I do is I get the $10 a month photography bundle from the Adobe Creative Cloud. That gives me both Lightroom and Photoshop. And I think that's a pretty good price for the two.
Do they have a bundle with Photoshop Elements?
They don't. They don't.
Elements kind of guy.
Yeah, Elements is only it's under $100, so a bundle wouldn't make a lot of sense. But for $120 a year, I get Big Boy Photoshop and Lightroom. That's a pretty good deal, plus a few other benefits like the fonts. And so anyway, you're going to want to buy. I guess you have to buy Lightroom too, don't you?
Yeah. Well, I have Lightroom.
Oh, you own Lightroom. Okay, good.
Yeah. But yes.
Yeah. So do you want a desktop or do you still want the mobility of a laptop?
Oh, I want to carry it around to my photo vacations. So yes.
So I'll tell you the truth. You know, I'm looking at the laptops that were announced at CES this year, and a surprisingly large number of PCs were announced. And I think there's two I would look at if I were you. One is, since you're used to a ThinkPad, and it's the top of my list, the new ThinkPad Carbon X1. And I would look at the yoga version, which is just like, you know, a yoga expert. It bends in the middle, and it can flip around. And one of the things they're doing with that is the screen will flip around to the other side, so you can use it as a tablet, and the keyboard retracts when you do that. So you can. It's really nice. I don't know. You may not want to use it that way. It does have a stylus, but not everybody wants a tablet. So, but the ThinkPad X1, whether it's the yoga version or the normal version, is very good. And then the other company, and I know if you've been in IT, you may have formed an opinion about a company called HP.
Yeah.
So normally I would not recommend an HP, but ever since the PC division split from the enterprise division, they've actually been knocking it out of the park. And these new HP Spectres are spectacular. If you want really thin and light, very nice. A couple of other brand names I like: the high-end Acers, ACER, Asus, ASUS. And I'm thinking, if you were in IT, you probably dealt with Dell a lot.
Yep.
And the Dell XPS 13, the new one for 2017, or a 15-inch if you like a bigger screen. They have an XPS 15. They have a bezel-less design that really makes a 13-inch laptop as small as an 11-inch. And I just think these Dells are dynamite. They're kind of uninspiring in design. They're kind of industrial. You know this well. That's one of the reasons companies buy them, I think, is because nobody's tempted to take it home. So you really have some good choices out there. If you've been using a ThinkPad, I see no reason not to stick with it. Very powerful. Do get an SSD. That's one of the things you'll get now on almost any new computer is a solid-state drive. They are fast, they are reliable, and for Lightroom, they'll make a big difference because Lightroom uses the cache. So does Photoshop. Even Elements uses the cache, the drive cache a lot. And you'll probably want at least 16 gigs of RAM. 16.
Is it better to go bigger?
Yeah, I mean, there's a point, if you drew a graph, there's a point of diminishing returns where you get improved speed, it's going to level out. And I think 16 is the place where it starts to level out. 32 is an awful lot of RAM. Most people don't need that much. So,
how about an external monitor for
yeah, great idea. Great idea. All of these guys will have, all of them will have docks. You can get a 24-inch very inexpensively. You're going to be looking at now widescreen monitors, probably something you didn't see so much in the enterprise. But I love these wide screen monitors. In fact, they're Dell and LG and a few other companies make super widescreen curved monitors that are really sweet, 34 inches, but they're wide. And so they give you a great field of view, they're really almost to your peripheral vision. And what's nice about this, and this I really believe is true, and obviously if you want an external monitor, you must have this inkling as well, as all the tests show that people with large monitors or multiple monitors are more productive because you can put more things up on the screen. So having a big monitor is a great idea. And I would absolutely look at least at a 27-inch, if not one of these new widescreen 34 inches. And they're surprisingly affordable. They're not. They're even the giant 34 inches are around $1,000. They're not that much.
Okay.
So I think you have some very, very good choices. Windows 10. Had you moved your company to Windows 10 yet?
I'm on enterprise kind of application.
Right.
So the accounting stuff.
Right.
But
so it
the
didn't matter.
laptop I'm using is 8.
Yeah, I think you'll like 10 a lot. Big improvement over 8, in my opinion.
Okay.
And that's what you're going to get, so get used to it.
And external storage, because I, like you, have...
I got an idea for you, but I'm going to have to put you on hold. I want to talk to you about something called, and you know this well, I'm sure, network attached storage, and I have a very strong recommendation for you on that one. So that's when we return, because I hear the magic music telling us it's time for the break at the bottom of the hour. I love spending people's money. We'll do more of that when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
You're out.
So, of course, for backup and any USB drive, these newer computers, some of them will have Thunderbolt, and Thunderbolt drives are still kind of rare as hen's teeth, but they're so much faster. They're as fast as the internal drive. It's like eSATA kind of. So, if you get Thunderbolt 3, by the way, I should say Thunderbolt 3. If you get a laptop with Thunderbolt 3, then absolutely, consider at least a Thunderbolt 3 external. Otherwise, USB 3 is very fast and for backup purposes more than adequate. If you got a lot of photos, that makes a lot of sense. But what I was going to recommend and strongly recommend is a Synology NAS. Since you're an IT guy, you will revel in this. Not cheap, because you not only have to buy the enclosure, but all the drives. I have a 5-bay NAS from Synology, Synology, the 1515 Plus. I would highly recommend it. Here's why. First of all, it's one of the faster NASs. It has a pretty fast quad-core Atom processor in it. You can upgrade the RAM, which I did, to 6 gigs, which makes it also fast. It's fast enough to run applications. So you can have SSH on there. You can have a shell. But what I put on there is I use it for backup. You can use it for media. It runs Plex and a variety of media servers. But it's great for backup because you can just have every machine back up to it. I have something like 10 terabytes in there. And then, so I don't have to worry about it. And then I'm also use it for photo backup. It's a good Evernote replacement too. You can have your own local, secure note-taking app and to-do app.
Do they back up each other within that NAS?
They can. So if you get 2 of them, they have a way to synchronize each other. But they also support cloud backup services like Amazon's Glacier, which is probably a good choice for just kind of last-ditch disaster recovery. So you can put they're really good. They're really good. I'm extremely happy with my Synology. Another company to look at for if you want just massive storage, I use a Drobo Mini, which is a small array. It's not a NAS. It's Thunderbolt 3, and actually that's my data drive on my home computer, and that way I have plenty of space on my data drive.
Is it portable enough that I could?
Yeah, the Mini's pretty portable. Yeah, it's not as small as a single drive solution. It's a 4-drive solution. But because of it, it's RAID. They call it beyond RAID, but it's like RAID 5, so it's redundant. So is the Synology. In fact, I have the Synology set to 2-drive redundancy, so I really don't have to worry about data corruption.
You are helping me spend money, man.
If you bought all the stuff I just talked about, you're getting up there. So do it a little at a time. There are smaller Synologies. There's 4-drive and even 2-drive units, so you don't have to go crazy if you don't want to. Just depends on how you're using it. If you're just using it as a media server, then redundancy is not so important.
I'm going to use it to have a bunch of photos in there, both the backup.
That's what I do.
When I run out of space on my external drive.
That's what I do.
My internal drive.
In fact, I have a crazy workflow because I have a laptop, and I'll import photos from my DSLR into the laptop and edit them in Lightroom. But then I have that directory, the photos directory, backed up to the Synology and synced to my home computer. So I don't have to go take the photos home and upload them to the home computer. I just have them available to me. And that workflow has worked really well for me because I always, I tend to take most of my photos when I'm traveling with a laptop. So now I don't have to worry about it. It's getting backed up to the NAS, and then I can import from the NAS at my desktop.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, just some ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you'd like the ThinkPad, I'd stick with the ThinkPad.
It's been okay. It's okay.
They're good computers, but like I said, Dell, HP, surprisingly, if you want thin and light, the HP Spectre. Man, I love that Spectre. Hey, I have to run.
Okay.
Thanks, Jim. I didn't want to bore you with it, so off the air, I filled in Jim on all his external drive options, like a Drobo for the Thunderbolt 3 connectivity and the Synology NAS that he could use to have, redundant backup wherever he goes. There's lots of solutions. If you're willing to spend money, I'll spend it for you in 100 different ways. Ron in southern Italy? Hi, Ron.
Yes, that is true.
Where are you?
I'm a couple hours away from Rome. I'm just north of Rome. I'm traveling in a camper.
Oh, how fun. How long have you been on the road?
I started this trip, I started the plan back in 2009, but the trip actually started in September of just last year.
Are you enjoying it?
I'm sorry?
Are you enjoying it?
Absolutely.
Oh, who wouldn't?
Yeah, how can you not? This is I go from city to city. Just yesterday I was in Pisa. Tomorrow I'll be in Rome.
Wow.
So how can that not be bad?
And do you find it easy? Is it like in the States where there's RV parks and there's places to hook up and all of that?
Well, there's I don't know how to say it other than you can still connect, but what I've been using is what's called camper stops, or I think that's what it's called. Camper. It's an app. I use it.
Oh, neat.
And there's some, you got to be careful with them, but where I'm at now is a camper stop. It's free. I don't get anything other than if I need water, I have water, and I can get rid of wastewater.
That's all right. You're roughing it, man. You're enjoying life.
Absolutely. And what my biggest problem is right now is I've been capturing video, of course, because that's why I came.
Great.
My problem is where do I upload it? I have a problem finding a place to upload.
Well, I can give you two places, but the issue is going to be more bandwidth than anything else. Those are giant files, aren't they? Yeah.
It's exactly. It's the bandwidth. I have all this 4K video that I've been capturing while I've been going through Europe, but I have no way of.
Yeah.
How do you upload that?
You can't. I mean, these are gigabyte files.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah,
I mean, you could upload it to YouTube. YouTube has 4K. Vimeo also supports 4K in a less compressed format. There are places to put it. The issue is you're not going to get sufficient bandwidth to upload it in any reasonable amount of time unless you want to move in, and spend a week somewhere.
Right.
So here's what I would suggest. Do you have anybody at home that you can mail stuff to?
But even if I did, it would still take the bandwidth to upload it.
No, don't upload it. You're going to put it on a disk and mail it to them.
Oh, well, I could, yeah.
If
I can send hard drives around the world.
The guy who invented Netflix actually had this insight when he was in graduate school. Reed Hastings, his professor said, what is more bandwidth? A gigabit fiber connection coast to coast or a truck carrying 100,000 DVDs? Yeah, the truck takes 5 days to get across the country, but it would take longer to get the contents of those DVDs across at light speed on a gigabit band. So mail is actually very high bandwidth if you think about it. Now you got to have somebody to mail it to. You probably want to rip it to DVD. That's a cheaper way than sending somebody hard drives. But you could do hard drives be faster. Or USB drive. Yeah.
How much does it cost to send a 4 terabyte hard drive versus how many DVDs?
Oh, you send it slow boat. Send it the slow boat to China method. It won't take that long. The real issue is customs and all that stuff. You might want to look at USB keys, which are a little smaller, and you could put you can get 256 gig thumb drives now, and that'd be enough for a couple of movies, and you just kind of send them as you go. Make sure you keep a local copy, of course. You're just doing this for backup. Send them to a friend in the States or. Somewhere in the States.
Actually, what I want to do is actually upload it directly to Facebook.
Right. Well, 4K video is big, and maybe you have a friend at home who has a lot of bandwidth could do it for you.
Well, that was one of my question was, is there some entity that will host that kind of media?
Yes. YouTube and Vimeo would be my preferred. Vimeo is a paid service, but if you look at Vimeo, that's where the most high-quality video goes.
Okay.
So, and of course, you'll save yourself a little if you are carefully editing this stuff before you attempt to upload it. You can at least get it down to a normal size. You want to put it on Facebook. Now, Facebook will support it, but they squunch it a lot. So does YouTube, for that matter.
But it takes forever to upload it.
Yeah. Well, it will to anywhere because you don't have much bandwidth.
Can I come by your place?
Yeah, come on. We got plenty of bandwidth. We got 10 gigabits symmetric from SonicNet. So,
but that's what I'm saying.
But you're not going to get that in Italy at an RV park, I don't think.
Right, but there's got to be an outlet somewhere, such as Leo's place, to where I can upload it.
Well, you'd be more than welcome to come here and do it. I don't know anybody in Italy. Maybe we should move the whole studio to Italy. I wouldn't mind that. Come visit our new satellite studio in Florence. I love it. What a good excuse. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, somebody is going to listen and say, "Here's what you need to do." Maybe there is a place you can go. Thing is, it would be very. I'm glad to do it. We've got so much bandwidth. I don't mind, but I mean, you'd have to find somebody who's pretty generous to say, "Here, come on in and upload 4 terabytes a day." How big are your files?
Oh, they're all in 4K.
Yeah.
So if you figure a half hour at 4K,
yeah.
How long is that?
So edit heavily. Make it 2 minutes. I bet you that half hour could be profitably cut down to 2 really good minutes, and then upload it.
Okay, but that's only one.
Yeah, I know. Well, how much? You're asking a lot.
I am asking.
I don't know what connectivity is like in Italy, and maybe I'm just bigoted and biased, but for some reason I assume it's not great. But I may be wrong. Maybe you go in an internet. Maybe I don't know. Can you go to an internet cafe in Rome and have a gigabit upload? I don't know. Maybe you can.
Well, that's an interesting.
I don't know. I shouldn't be. I shouldn't.
I don't either.
I'm Italian, so believe me, I'm not. I love Italians and I love Italy, but I don't suspect they're known for high-speed internet.
Well, I'm not just limited to Italy. I'm only.
Oh, well, go to Germany.
Right
the Germans have excellent internet.
Well, I was in Germany last month.
Are you looking for a company that will do this? Like you could ship them the drives? Is that what you're looking for?
No, I'm looking for how can I say this? I'm looking for some entity.
You can walk in the door and you could say, "I'm here, and I have a terabyte of video I want to upload." I don't know. Maybe somebody who's living in Italy or knows can call us. 8888 Ask Leo. I think this is a very small problem compared to the joy and wonder you must be having driving all over the place. Did you drive all the way from the U.S.? We'll never know. Ciao, Ron. Arrivederci. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You're out. Italy has the world's fastest internet. Thanks, Kim. 7 to 10 p.m. on Sunday. That's good to know. Thank you. Jim, I'm just so jealous. I can't stand it. I want to go. If I could, I would go to Italy and provide you with a way to upload. But I don't know if I could. I don't know if. I mean, Sonic's not in Italy. I don't think I don't know. Have you gone to internet cafes? What's your experience been? Do they have fast internet?
I have not. All I can find is, of course, at like campgrounds.
They're going to be terrible. Yeah. They're terrible here.
It didn't even work.
Yeah.
I ended up.
Yeah, no, they're terrible.
I had to go get a US or a cell phone SIM and I asked just for data. I didn't care about the text or any of the calls or anything. I just wanted to know how much data I could buy, which was 12 gigs, which still is nothing.
No.
Think about it.
Although it's a lot for what people are normally doing. I think the world's ready.
And it was for $20 or for 20 euros.
Yeah, that's a good deal. No, that's actually a much better deal in the U.S. Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem I'm having is how am I, because I'm moving. I'm not staying somewhere for a week. Even if I stay for a week, do I want to spend a week uploading a video?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I mean, 12 gigabytes you're going to go through that fairly quickly. Although that is an excellent deal for LTE data. That's not bad. But LTE is not as fast as you'd like either for this.
Well, that's why that was my whole basis for my question is where is there somebody that offers that kind of service where you can go someplace and upload large amounts of data to a certain website, say Facebook,
right?
Even if it's it's a Google photo
Yeah, no, I don't know. That's a great question. Like, wouldn't that be an interesting service where you just go in and you say, "Here's my hard drive. Can you upload that for me?" Yeah, no, that'd be a great service.
But that's what my problem is, and that's why I called you, is to see if you might have something.
No idea.
Yeah,
no idea. But you know what? We have a lot of people listening, and I'm sure if such a thing exists, I will hear about it and I will tell you. Hey, how long are you going to stay? You've been there you've been traveling since September. How long are you going to stay on the road?
We went from South Florida at the end of August of 16, got into Britain. We took a cruise ship.
Nice.
Got to Britain and Southampton in early September. Went to Germany. Did some stuff there. This is how I got all this thing going.
This is my dream come true. Although I want to do it in a boat. I want to get a little tugboat, putt around the Mediterranean. Even worse internet.
Well, I don't know. It'd still be cellular.
Yeah, it'd be so beautiful, though. Oh, I love it. Well, Ron, have a wonderful trip.
My webpage is a Facebook page. It's called This Is Europe with Ron Alexander. And,
no wonder you want to upload this.
Yes, this is something I've been collecting these videos, and
You know who does this, but he doesn't do 4K. Is Rick Steves is always doing, the travel guru is always doing little short videos from his travels. Just keep them short, I would say, and maybe give up on the 4K thing. 4K is overrated. Most people can't see 4K anyway. Hey, I've got to run, but have a great trip. I'll mention your your Facebook page. This is Europe with Ron Alexander. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Take care.
Good day.
Our show today brought to you by Rocket Mortgage from Quicken Loans. Just read a great article about Quicken Loans. I did not know this. I knew they were one of the best mortgage lenders in the country. I didn't know they were one of the biggest. Really, I think the second largest mortgage lender in the country. Bigger than, I think number one might be, well, I don't want to say any other names, but they're the best. Let's just put it this way. If you knew who number one was, you'd say, oh, I'm not going with them. I'm going with Quicken Loans, especially if you're a geek, because Quicken Loans has a product designed for us, the internet generation. See, in the old days, when you wanted to get a loan, you'd have to go to a bank. You'd have to go to a mortgage company. You'd have to bring a box of papers. You'd have to say, here's my pay stubs. Here's my bank statement. It was, and then maybe in a week you'd get a loan, or maybe in my case, the last time we bought a house 3 years ago, it took 6 weeks. Not going to do that again. Next time, it's Quicken Loans for me and Rocket Mortgage. You go to quickenloans.com/techguy. You can do it all online, even submitting pay stubs and check statements online. Touch of a finger. You can do it on your phone even. You can do it from their couch. You could do it from an open house. Are you doing open houses this afternoon? You could do it from an open house. And then and they have it's because it's a computer. Not only is it easy and fast, but they even have sliders. You could, if you want to adjust the term and the rate, you could just get the payment to where you want it to be. And then they'll approve you within minutes for a loan that's just right for you. quickenloans.com/techguy. quickenloans.com/techguy. Online, fast, customizable. It's everything that the internet's promised us. And it's completely transparent with one of the best lenders in the country. What more could you ask for? Go to quickenloans.com/techguy. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, and NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030. We thank them so much for their support. quickenloans.com/techguy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, I talked a little more with Ron. This is actually cool. He's driving around in his RV all over Europe. He has a Facebook page. This is facebook.com/This Is Europe with Ron Alexander. And he's uploading video. I guess my counsel would be, don't do long video. Do shorter video. Maybe not even 4K. That's nice, but it's impractical. And just make it short. I'm thinking of the travel guru Rick Steves, who is always uploading Facebook video, Facebook Live. He's doing a lot of streaming and just short clips, and it's always short, but it doesn't need to be that long. Here I am, at the Trevi Fountain. Look at that. There's somebody throwing coins in. Oops, somebody fell in. And that's all it needs to be, right? Keep it short and sweet. High def is plenty, 1080p. even if you do 4K, nobody's really seeing 4K, right? I love this idea, though. We'll put a link to his page in our show notes, facebook.com/This Is Europe with Ron Alexander. I'd like to see This Is Europe with Ron Burgundy. Now, that'd be fun. Brian in Nashville, Tennessee. Hello, Brian. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Are you there? Did I press a button wrong? I think I pressed all the buttons right.
I'm here.
Welcome, Brian.
Thank you. That's what happens when your code on your phone is too long. And it's timed out. Exactly. That's a good segue into my question because, like I said, my passcode on my phone is very long because I am a privacy nut.
Good for you. And there's nothing better than a long, strong passcode. What kind of phone are you using?
Oh, I use an iPhone. Okay. I have an iPhone 6S Plus.
So Apple, the fingerprint reader is very secure. But as you know, there are issues with fingerprint reading and having a long code, not a 4-digit code. Is it long? It's 6 digits, right? Or do you have something even longer using a real password?
I'll just say mine's more than 14.
Nice.
But it's numbers I can very easily remember. And
yeah, it's inconvenient. Understand that, but it's much more secure. Now, here's the deal. Do you use the fingerprint reader at all?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So every time you want to unlock your phone, you have to enter those 14 digits.
Yeah. Well, it's more than 14, but yeah. My friends that are sitting around me go crazy because they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm just getting back in my phone. But I've gotten used to it, and it's just a discipline you have to develop into, and there really isn't anything on there to hide but my privacy.
Yeah.
They don't need to see what I'm texting.
You have the right. You have the right.
Kids.
Now, I will point out one thing you might want to consider. I don't know. Are you using iCloud backup on your phone?
Well, that was some of the things I wanted to go. Yeah, what I'm doing right now is kind of like what. Forgive me, I'm 56. I'm having a mental block. The lady and the guy did their phone switch.
Yes, Jason Howell and Megan Maroney. Jason is our host of All About Android. He's using Megan's iPhone for a month. Megan's the host of iOS Today. She's using his Android phone for a month. Yeah.
Well, what I'm doing is I thought, you know what? I've been in IT since 1979. I said, you know what? I'm a Mac guy. I love my Macs. I just switched to that 2 years ago. However, my work is all Windows, so I run Windows in parallels. Of course, work would probably, if they knew about it, would yell, but
they don't know, do they?
Yes. They don't know.
What they don't know won't hurt.
But here's what I did a month ago. I said, you know what? I did some. I'm in a large book club I work for a large hospital system that's nationwide, and we have book clubs every month. But I did 2 books, Data and Goliath. I gave a report on that, and also Future Crimes.
Excellent.
And it really wakes you up to some of the things going on. So
yeah, Future Crimes is terrifying. I haven't read Data and Goliath, but I have read Future Crimes and interviewed the author, and that is a terrifying book. Yeah.
Yes. And I didn't want to scare people. I just wanted people to understand what's going on. So anyway,
it's by the way fairly accurate. I think we talked to him about a year ago, and everything he's mentioned is truer and truer all the time.
Yeah. So what I did a month ago is I decided, how can I tighten up privacy and realize I'm not the big thing I learned in the Data and Goliath is the more data I create, well, the more data they have. So stop making so much data. And the biggest thing I did, as far as privacy, a lot of people don't realize there's a hardware password on your Mac that if you don't set it, you can literally use that to get in your system and change the password, and someone's just hacked into your Mac. So I set my hardware password, a good one, set a good login password, fully encrypted the drive. The big step I just did a week ago that's a little bit of adjusting is I dropped my backup software and went with SpiderOak because they have what's called zero knowledge.
Yeah, I like SpiderOak. So Apple does not have zero knowledge. What does that mean? Apple has the keys to your uploads to Apple. And they also have the keys to messages, so they can read your text messages. So can Well, actually, the phone company probably can't. I think Apple encrypts in such a way that only Apple could read those messages.
That was on my list of questions.
Yeah. So the nice thing about Spider Oak is you create an encryption key before it goes to Spider Oak. So they store your data, but they can't read your data. They don't have the key. They're one of the few cloud services that does that, and as a result, there's some limitations in their capabilities. I mean, but if you want true privacy, here's the real problem. I'll be honest with you: your phone leaks privacy like crazy in so many ways. You've got on this phone, you've got GPS, you've got a microphone, you've got a camera. This is, if I were the FSB, the Russian Secret Service, I would just embrace this thing, because everything you'd want on anybody can be derived from their phone. And we don't know what they are, but we know there are many techniques to do so. There's an Israeli company called Celebrite, recently hacked, ironically, that sells phone decryption services to not just law enforcement, but to authoritarian regimes all over the world. Now we know who, because almost 1 terabyte of their data was leaked by the hackers who got into their system. You want to be private. Best way to do it: get off the internet and get rid of your phone. Which isn't
going to happen.
Which isn't going to happen. So the point being, there's always a compromise. There's no perfect security as long as you're using the internet and a phone.
Yeah. Well, the nicest thing I did that I thought I was going to miss the most, and it turns out I saved so much time, is Facebook. I just got off of Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook. I mean, it's pretty clear. You're giving them your information in return for the service.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a clear, gift. Somewhat true also of Google, Microsoft, and Apple.
Right. So is iCloud Drive the same way?
It is exactly the same as Dropbox or everyone else. Apple would like you to think it's not, but in fact, they have the keys. So they can see your stuff.
Well, the nice thing then about Spider Oak, then, I guess, going with that, is they do have what's called a sync folder, which is pretty much the same thing as iCloud Drive. I've started using that. So,
yeah, I use, we were talking about Synology NASs. I use Synology NAS, so that's a hard drive in my house that's encrypted. To get my data, somebody would have to get into my house. But even then, I have, look, if you're the target of an investigation by the NSA, the FBI, the CIA, or the FSB, all bets are off.
Probably.
Yeah. You want your eyes open, go to DEF CON one year, or Chaos Computer Club's hacker conference in Berlin one year, and just listen to the speeches and the presentations, and you'll realize the problem is these guys are really adept, and it's very hard to fight them. So what you're doing is a fair thing to do. There's a trade-off between security and convenience. You are giving up a lot of convenience by trying to lock things down, and I think you're using the internet and a phone in the best way you could, given the risks involved.
Right.
There's who knows? You could have a camera in your house and be looking over your shoulder. I don't know.
Well, I do. I have one. I have Nest.
Yeah, I don't. It's not right. Well, who knows who's watching you then, right? I mean, who knows who's watching you?
I know. I want to try to.
You're mitigating it.
It's a tough balance.
It's a very tough balance. You're mitigating it, but if we want the conveniences of the modern digital age, there are risks.
Yeah.
And you mitigate as best you can.
I wish our legislators, and maybe that's our fault, I wish our legislators were more like Europe, where we started to say, but then again, even if we did pass nice laws that said, that's it, stop collecting all this crap, how much would it really
to some degree, the European Union is breaking the internet by some of the things they're requiring, like the right to be forgotten. I understand what you're saying. I agree with you, but this is kind of the nature of the internet, is kind of to be open. So you're swimming upstream a little bit. It's a fascinating conversation, but it sounds like you're doing all the right things, or at least the best you can do under the circumstances. And given that you've been in the business for that long, you probably know what you're doing. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
You're out.
It's a really interesting question. You're obviously very paranoid, Brian.
No, I want privacy. I don't want and I don't want accidental stuff to happen where, you know what, somebody's see and I didn't realize until I read those two books. I thought they didn't collect the data until they needed to and had a subpoena. At some point in time, we switched, and I guess Snowden helped us understand that. At some point, we switched where we went from not collecting data and subpoena it to collect it. We went to data where we're just going to collect everything,
right?
And we need the subpoena to look at it. And Snowden's already shown they're not even using the subpoena.
Yeah, you can't count on them. Although I think most of the NSA and most of the intelligence services adhere to very strict rules. You know, one of our contributors, Alan Malventano, was an NSA analyst, and he said, man, we were very careful. We sanitized, we minimized, we knew the constitutional restrictions on what we were doing, and we were extraordinarily careful. And I don't doubt that that's the case with most intelligence analysts.
Yeah.
The problem is the few bad ones might have, and Snowden said they were trading pictures of guys' girlfriends and stuff. So, and it happens all the time. So, I've kind of given up, to be honest with you. I got nothing to hide, and I'm just going to count on our constitutional protections to keep me from going to jail because somebody doesn't like something I say on the air.
Yeah, you almost make yourself worried that, you know what, putting all this stuff into place makes you stand out. Do they look at you more?
Well, we know that's the case. They already said, General Clapper, or one of the defense intelligence guys said, yeah, if you encrypt, it's a red flag. So I use PGP to encrypt, and, so it's a red flag.
I have that. I have that installed and ready in my mail on my Mac, but
nobody ever wants it. I know. I have a handful of people I use PGP with, and I know that means that guarantees that those communications are going into the database. However, I also trust the math that they're unencryptable.
Yeah.
Decryptable. Undecryptable. However,
I wish my dad would have been able to share some of his stories. My dad actually indirectly worked for the NSA. He's 20 years retired, passed away, but his first 10 years he worked for the United States Air Force Security Service, which they were the collectors. He literally sat behind a radio with a headset on, and he was a Morse code intercept operator. And everything they collected went to the NSA. So even though he was in the Air Force, he was really working for the NSA, and it's like he could never talk. I didn't know until after he passed away what he did. Yeah, my mom brought out this box from the closet and said, your dad wanted you to have this.
Wow.
I had a box of stuff.
Wow.
None of it was secret, but it's like, oh, my gosh, Mom, what did Dad do? He said, son, he couldn't talk about it. I couldn't talk about it. And I was sitting there going through this 10 years of the first 10 years, and it was my life, too, because I was born in Okinawa.
So you knew, you were going around with him. Yeah.
But we didn't know. I mean, he's the Air Force. So it's like, and then all of a sudden I find out, wow, Dad was kind of a spy.
That's cool, actually. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, he did the same thing Johnny Cash did. There's a good article called Johnny Cash was a Man in Blue before he was a Man in Black.
I didn't know that. Really?
He was a Morse code intercept operator in Germany, just like my dad.
No kidding. How interesting.
Yep. So,
well, it's nice to talk to you, Brian. I honor your attempt to keep your privacy. And I think you're right. I'm doing the best I can as well. I no longer store stuff on Dropbox or iCloud. I keep it on my local NAS and all of that. Try to do all that stuff. Not that I got anything anybody would want.
No.
But you know what? The only thing that really would worry me, and this has happened, I hope it doesn't happen here, but that if you became a political liability, if you were a dissenter, let's say I decide to protest against Donald Trump. There's nothing, they can build a case.
One of millions?
One of a few million. There's a case. You can build a case out of random stuff, right? So it's giving them material that they could build, even if it's a phony case, that they could build a case out of. And so, on the other hand, if we get to that point, they don't need to build a case. They just throw me in jail. So
think of everything you said that someone heard it.
Yeah.
Or things you've written.
You can edit it. You can take it out of context.
Yeah.
You can make it be anything you want. So it's really, I despair, frankly, of having real privacy. So what can you do? But good for you to try. Good for you for trying.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Bye, Brian. No, I do live in public, Emily the Strange. I don't care. I mean, do I look like somebody who's trying to hide? Unless I'm hiding in plain sight. But if I were hiding in plain sight, would I have even said that? Or would I? Maybe it's a strange double blind. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, all that jazz. Digital photography guru Chris Marquardt coming up at 1:30. 8888 Ask Leo's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. The website is techguylabs.com. Great conversation with Brian. And I, before the break, I don't want anybody to become paranoid. A certain amount of paranoia, I guess, is okay. But in the long run, it'd be. I remember in the early days of online banking and commerce. The early days of Amazon and pets.com. We'd often get calls. Is it safe to use my credit card on the internet? And my answer, even then, and certainly now, is yes. Of course, it's safe. That's not the problem. Using the card on the internet is not the problem. Where you're at risk is once the merchant who has your credit card number, if he gets hacked, and we've seen that happen a lot lately, Target and so forth. Then your credit card number may leak out. And don't forget, when you go to a restaurant, at least in the U.S., the waiter takes your card and disappears with it for a few minutes, at which point anything could happen. So if you're asking, do I trust my transaction on Amazon more than I trust the waiter at the restaurant, I have to say yes. I have to say yes. And it's kind of like that. There are lots of privacy gaps. It's very hard to find them all. People pay a lot of attention to Facebook and Google. But you know who knows more about you than Facebook or Google? Your internet service provider. And those folks are very little regulated. In fact, if there are regulations, it's more of the on the order of, and save everything so we can look at it whenever we want from the law enforcement agencies. It's more like that. So your privacy is always at risk when you use the internet and a phone. But there's all sorts of ways you risk your privacy anyway. I don't know what the answer is. I think we certainly should be aware of it, and then everybody has to decide for themselves to what length are you willing to go to protect your privacy. Now, your online security, everybody who's listening to this show should be taking those steps. And Brian mentioned a great book called Future Crimes. You can find the details at futurecrimesbook.com. The author, Mark Goodman, worked at the LAPD in security and forensics. And the most important thing, besides the book itself, the thing I would recommend folks read is under the tips section of that website at futurecrimesbook.com. He calls it the update protocol. And it's update because it's an acronym. These are 6 things everybody should consider if they want to protect themselves against hackers and cybercrime. A number 1 update, frequently. We've talked about this a lot. Use good passwords. To be careful where you get files from. Don't download from strangers. Don't download from those free sites. Be careful. Do not run as an administrator. Run as a limited user. That's the A. T is the only one I wouldn't worry too much about. He says, turn off your computer and the internet whenever you're not using it. That could be kind of a pain, and I think that's of a minimal value. There's plenty of time to hack you when your computer's on. Although, yeah, I guess if you leave it on all night, I don't know. And then finally, encrypt. And that means encrypt your hard drive, encrypt your communications, encrypt whenever possible. It's a good, some basic tips here that I think are very useful for everybody and easy to remember because of UPDATE. Update, passwords, download, admin, turn off, and encrypt. Update. FutureCrimesBook.com. I'll put a link in the show notes to all of that. TechGuyLabs.com. Jerry in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Hi, Jerry.
Yes, Leo, thanks for taking the call.
Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
I just had some questions on buying a laptop, and I think I'm a lot cheaper than the previous caller.
Yeah. We spent almost 10 grand just talking.
But
What's your budget? Where do you want to start?
Well, I'm just curious whether to get an i7 processor, i5, or AMD, does it matter that much?
No. In fact, my recommendation would be to get an i5. AMD's processors are a little underpowered. The i7, the only thing it adds really is multi-threading per core. They call it hyper-threading, so one processor can do two things at once. That's really of limited use. For most people, the sweet spot's the Intel i5 processor. But even within that designation, there's all kinds of i5s. You know, there's a mobile part that's not very fast. There's the desktop part. There's the overclockable parts. Those have the K. There's all sorts of ins and outs. What is your budget, around 500?
Yeah, I mean anywhere 5 to 8.
Oh, you're in great shape. It's when you get under 500 that you kind of take some chances on the hardware quality mostly. How about now? I
wanted a drive. I wanted a DVD drive, I guess you call it, and I wanted to be able to hook it up to a monitor and a mouse also.
So you want a laptop? I would eliminate that DVD drive from your thinking because there's very few good laptops that have them, but you can always get an external USB DVD drive when you need it.
Okay.
They've taken the optical discs out of almost all laptops now. They just take up so much space, and people really prize thin and light.
Yeah.
So I even have a big, heavy 17-inch laptop that doesn't have a DVD drive in it. I just think that's like a floppy disk. That's going the way of the dinosaurs.
It's gone. With any of these, or would I have trouble hooking it up to a separate monitor?
Not at all. All of them support that.
All of them support that?
Yep. There's various ways. Most laptops have HDMI connectors, which makes it very easy. It's just like hooking up anything else to your TV. Okay. Some will have DisplayPort connectors, which means you just need to get the right kind of cable. But because most laptops are often used in business environments where people want to use a projector for PowerPoint presentations, things like that, almost all laptops have some sort of output.
Okay. I saw I'm taking it you're not crazy about the HP Pavilion.
I would go a little higher up and look at so a lot of companies like HP have a consumer line, that's the Pavilion, and a business line. And the big difference is the quality of the hardware components. So the consumer lines usually are the cheaper ones. But if you're in the $500 to $800 price range, you have some good choices. Are you set on Windows? What do you do with your laptop?
It's pretty modest. You're talking, some browsing, email, watching some videos. I'm not doing anything up or down to speak.
You might want to look at a Chromebook. It's not Windows. It's not Mac. It's a Chrome OS, and it's very secure. It's the most secure operating system out there. Cannot be hacked. And it is very reliable, and it's lower cost generally because you don't need as much hardware to run it. I've just put an order in for the Samsung Chromebook Pro. I got the Plus. That's coming out. Best Buy will have that for I think $400 next month. But there are a lot of good Chromebooks out there. You're giving up Windows, but browsing, email, everything you just described, Chromebook's perfect for that.
Well,
and a lot less expensive. Now we're talking, well under $500 for a good thing. So just consider it.
Previously to the other caller, the HP Spectre.
Love that. Very thin and light.
Take you.
That's going to be closer to 1,000, I think. But I would look at those as opposed to the Pavilion if you're looking. And I wouldn't hesitate to look at Dell. Dell has very good deals. The XPS 13 is a superb laptop at a very affordable price. You do want to spend a little more because you're going to get better hardware. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. I guess if you want to know what platforms are more secure and what are least, one way to do this would be looking at the Pwn to Own competition. This is an annual competition held up in Vancouver at CanSec West, the Canadian Security Conference. It's the 10th annual Pwn to Own this year. And what they do is they award prizes to the hackers who can most quickly hack various operating systems and programs. This year, $1 million in prizes, so it attracts the best. The best hackers in the world. $1 million on 5 different categories. So, and the money awarded is, I think, directly related to the difficulty in hacking the target. So the most money goes to anybody who can attack a Apache web server. And the way they do this is they set up a computer, stock computer, with the stock software as it would be installed without any, hardening, any security hardening, just the defaults. And Apache, the web server, apparently the hardest. But then the next hardest, virtual machines escaping from a virtual machine like VMware or Microsoft's Hyper-V. That's right up there. When it comes to browsers, Edge and Chrome. You make the most money for an exploit with Edge and Chrome. A little less money if you hack Safari or Adobe Flash, but in Edge. Adobe Flash in Edge. And not much money at all if you hack Mozilla's Firefox or you manage an escalation to root to Mac in Mac OS. That's apparently very easy. You only get a little bit for that. Escalation of privilege means taking an account and making it an administrator or a more powerful account. Windows is the most money. Mac OS and Ubuntu the least money. And then you get points for hacking applications as well. $1 million in prizes. And often everything gets hacked. But occasionally one or two things will not get hacked. And I will stand by my assertion that the most secure platform you can run, normal platform that a normal human could go out and buy, is the Google's Chromebooks from any of the manufacturers. Very hard to do anything serious to a Chromebook. So CanSec West. Well, I'll give you the results of the Pwn to Own contest after the event. It's funny because the guys who do this save up these exploits, these hacks. They save them up all year because there's some good money in it. It'll be Pwn to Own, I guess, will be in the spring. 10 years. Back to the phones, 8888 Ask Leo. Mike is in El Segundo, California. He's next. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Leo. Excuse my voice so hoarse because I got this horrible cold that's been going on.
Oh, man, it's going around, isn't it?
Yeah, you lose your voice for a few days at least. It could last 10 days or a week or more. Anyway, I bought a brand new unlocked, was it the S7?
Oh, I love that phone.
Yeah, because your recommendations are being on the internet.
Yeah.
And I generally like Samsung. Unfortunately, they really messed up with the Note 7, and I think part of that problem is going to the non-user removable battery really messed them up.
Yeah, we'll find out tomorrow. Tomorrow they're going to announce the results of their investigation, and the leak is, it's already come out that that was the battery that caused the problem, the fires in the Note 7, and that the batteries, there were some phones where the battery was too big for the phone.
Yeah, if they stuck with the user removable design, which I think
they wouldn't have had the problem. I agree, and I loved it.
So they should never remove the SD.
It's it is a little bit our fault because we're demanding thinner, smaller phones, and so in one way to get more battery in a smaller space is to take the case off of it. The thing that you have to have if users are going to take it out.
Yeah, I'd rather have it thicker though and have removable battery in the card slot. I know they brought back the card slot for this.
It's crazy. Marcus Brownlee, who does great gadget reviews, very highly esteemed gadget reviews on YouTube, MKBHD, said, what did we want this year in all the new phones? More battery. What did we get? No headphone jack.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's unbelievable. Remove good features. It was not broken. Don't fix it.
It's like, come on, we want battery life is what we want. I'm willing to have a thicker phone for great battery life. I don't have a problem with that.
Same here, exactly. Anyway, so several questions. Actually, got 3 related questions on this phone, and one with my DSL, my AT&T DSL service went down 2 days ago, and AT&T says they can't send anyone out. Is there a problem? They said they're wiring our hardware, but they said they can't send anyone out to look at it or fix it for 10 days. So,
what?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. AT&T never used to be like that in the old days.
What? 10 days?
Actually, it'll be like 11 or 12 days, considering that's been down like 2 days now.
Crazy.
And they said there's a lot of people have the same problem where there's just no connectivity. They could not ping or do any connectivity from their end. So it's just ridiculous. So what I want to do is, number one, ask you a couple of questions about my phone and who I should go with for airtime service. I've heard what you said in the past, but I still have a question on that. And then about tethering, so I can have backup internet service, and maybe I need to get away from AT&T and go with another service.
It really is dependent on where you are, and I don't know what's best in El Segundo, but if T-Mobile works well where you are, that's because they're number 4 or maybe number 3. I think they're number 3 now. They're second, behind Verizon and AT&T in terms of subscribers and power. They have to compete a little bit more, and I think they offer the best prices for their service. They have good high-speed internet. It's unlimited. That's really a lie, too.
It's tethering, though. But before I get to that, I have a real important question.
Okay.
I read on the internet that the camera lens on the Samsung Galaxy S7s crack without dropping the phone. Just instantaneously crack.
Yeah.
And one theory is that the protective case is maybe applying pressure to the edge of the phone.
Yep.
The phone may have a defective engineering design where it puts pressure and cracks the lens. And Samsung will not cover it under warranty. You got to pay to have it fixed. Some people paid, and they just cracked again. So I'm wondering if, I get the...
I had an S7. I for a long time never had any problems at all. Maybe some limited number are having this problem. Remember, when you sell 10 million phones, if 1/100th of 1% of people have problems, it's still thousands of people, enough to make a big stink about it on the internet.
Right. Now, do you use the OtterBox case?
I don't use any case for my... Actually, I do. Well, here's the funny thing. So my daughter came back from Mexico phoneless. She'd lost her iPhone in Mexico. So I gave her my S7, which was in a case from a company called, I want to say UE or UAE Cases. It was a nice case. I hear you typing. Let me see if I can get that right. Maybe it's UE. I don't know. I'll have to ask my daughter. But in any event, it didn't matter. She had the phone less than a week, and it was all shattered up.
Oh, my God. Okay, I did not...
I'd kept it in pristine condition even without a case. I don't have a case on my iPhone 7. I just keep it carefully in my pocket. I don't drop it. However, you know how, she's 24 and obviously doesn't treasure these things as much as I do.
If she worked and paid for it, maybe she'd treasure it.
Yeah, that might be.
Since I did not get the edge because I heard that then it's more susceptible to cracking if you...
It might be. I like the S7. I like the looks of the edge, but the edge isn't practical. So I think you'd be very happy with the S7 on T-Mobile, frankly. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
You're out.
So, I'm sorry, we ran out of time. What else can I do for you?
Yeah. About tethering. With that phone, can I do a wire tether, or does it have to be Wi-Fi?
You can do both, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, and I was wondering, you said that Verizon is under a consent decree. They cannot charge you for tethering unless you voluntarily give up that right.
Right.
How many years is that good for?
I don't know.
Is it good for new customers or only their old existing customers?
That I don't know either. Let me look.
Okay, because I fear if I ask them, they may not tell me the right answer.
No, they won't.
That's why I'm asking you.
I guarantee you. There's a FAQ on CNET about this settlement. This is dated... Well, this is pretty old. This is dated 2012.
Oh, my. Because I assume it's only good for a fixed number of years, the consent decree.
Absolutely. And let me see how long, if they mention here how long it is. It's so confusing, right?
Yeah.
By the way, everything's up for grabs because we've got a new FCC.
Oh, that's right. And there'll be less regulation. And
Absolutely. Already the rumor is the new chairman of the FCC is an existing commissioner who is a rabid, really strong opponent of net neutrality, which tells me that the FCC will take a strong anti-regulatory tone.
Net neutrality, I've heard, convincing arguments on both sides. It seems to be a double-edged sword. That I don't want to be charged.
The only arguments in favor of net neutrality come from the internet service providers.
Oh, really? Okay.
Against net neutrality, I should say.
But yeah, because I thought
the content companies, internet service providers, people who, a good internet service provider will argue for net neutrality, but Comcast doesn't want net neutrality because
the ones that sell content do not want net neutrality.
Well, and also, even if you didn't sell content, net neutrality means you can't sell access to your customers. And so Comcast would love to charge Netflix extra to get to its customers. And we know they want to do that. And that's what net neutrality protects. Let's see. FCC, that was 2014. I don't see what the expiration date is, but I could bet you whatever it is, it will be on the table for elimination as soon as the new FCC can assemble.
Okay, so it sounds like I should not take that into consideration.
I wouldn't.
Just be wanting to go with T-Mobile probably if it's good in my area.
My wife is was a Verizon customer. I moved her to T-Mobile and she hates it. She's going back to Verizon.
What does she hate about T-Mobile?
Well, connectivity in some spots of Petaluma isn't great.
Okay, so it's just a local coverage issue.
Yeah, that's ultimately all that really matters.
Well, many years ago, I had an analog cell phone with Verizon, and they made a billing error and sent it to collections. They would not correct it. And I've heard from other people that Verizon still makes billing errors.
They're all terrible. They're all monopolies, or even if they're not, they think they're monopolies. So they're all terrible, and that's the only reason I think T-Mobile is at all good is because they have to fight a little harder to get their customers, although as they grow, that'll go away.
Well, I figure I'll get an unlocked phone, and that way I can go with anyone. Now, is there a way they can lock me out of my own phone when they configure it?
Well, that's kind of complicated. It depends.
Do I have to?
They can't lock a phone retroactively, but they could. But
see, I bought it directly from Samsung. I paid for it. It's all paid for.
Yeah. No, they can't lock it. The nice thing about T-Mobile is they welcome that. They want you to do that. They're fine with that. So they'll just give you a SIM card. They'll charge you $5 for it, but they'll give you a SIM card. And any carrier should welcome you in. They can't, as far as I know, lock the phone retroactively. Hey, I got to run because I got to get ready for our next one.
Maybe if you talk a little bit, if you know anything about the S8. I decided not to wait.
We don't yet, but that's going to be out in March. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Leo. OpenTF/TTF.com/winterfog. There are 5 pictures that I want to tell a story about.
Mama, don't take my Kodachrome. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That music means one thing. Chris Marquardt is here. He's our photo guy, the digital photography guru at discoverthetopfloor.com. Heck, he's also a film photography guru. He does both, so I'll give you credit for both. Discover the Top Floor is where to find out about his workshops, his book on film photography, his great images. The fog has come to the Northern Hemisphere.
Yes, it has. I was out. Okay, so here's the story. The day was a crispy cold day. We're talking -6 Celsius, which is I think about 20 Fahrenheit. So we could say this is cold. It was foggy, not really comfortable, and with all the fog in there, with all the humidity in there, it actually felt much colder. And we took a walk today. Just a little Sunday walk in the afternoon. And while I was out there, I looked around me and I had to take my smartphone out and take some pictures. But then when we finished the walk, we came back, I decided to get the camera, to get in the car, to go back there. And I ended up spending an hour out there taking about 100 photos. And I chose 5 of those that came out of this session. So why is that so different? And the reason I did this, there are actually 5 reasons I took these photos, which are, you have to imagine photos in a foggy environment and trees and fields in the front. So there's not much going on in these photos. They're very, very minimal. The first reason I went out and did this was that usually there's lots of stuff in the background. You know, we live in an area where we have several wind turbines out there and fencing and stuff, the stuff you have out. And while I don't mind this stuff, it's in the background. It kind of takes away attention from things in the photos. So that was the first idea. It makes for very clean photos. So fog does that, and I love when it does that. And I had to go back and do this. Second reason was it takes contrast out of the pictures. I mean, when you shoot and you live in California, I mean, in summer it's really warm, and it's, well, not in San Francisco.
It's a little foggy and gray here right
but
now.
up in Petaluma it is, and
you do
it's
get the mist,
sunny,
yeah.
and there are very hard contrasts. And the difference here is that you within this kind of a fog, you're pretty much sitting inside a cloud. So the light bounces off of everything around you, and it comes from pretty much everywhere. There's no shadows, no nothing, and no contrast, which makes it very simple and very easy for the camera to take a photo. There are no extremes. You know, when you shoot with bright sunlight, you will have areas that are very, very bright and areas that are very dark in the shades, and that is difficult for a digital camera. And this is the kind of situation where it's really easy for the camera. So that's the second reason, not a lot of contrast. The third is it doesn't just take contrast out. That kind of a weather also takes the saturation out, the color saturation. So it's more towards black and white than it is towards color. And color sometimes can be distracting. There might be some color in the background that distracts from the foreground. And in this case, the colors are very muted, which makes for again, a very reduced kind of photo, very simplified kind of photo. And fourth reason for me is it's a very good counterpoint to the usually crisp stuff that I like to take. I mean, I love contrasty photos. So I have to sometimes force myself outside of my comfort zone to do something different. And these photos are just a lot more dreamy or ephemeral than photos that I usually take.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
They leave
they're
stuff out.
soft.
They make silhouettes. They're reduced, and what that does is by not having a lot in the photo, you as the viewer will have to kind of fill in the blanks. You'll have to extend that story. You have to come up with some of the information that you don't see in those photos. And number 5, and that's very specific to me, those photos are really useful. I mean, when I work online, I advertise a workshop, or I put I release an episode of my show and I need a photo for that episode. I'm always looking for photos that are kind of reduced and simple and leave space for titles that you can put on there.
Oh yeah.
So
I was wondering, because some of these photos have a lot of sky. Now I understand
for
why.
a reason. Yeah, that's what we call negative space, and I put a lot of negative space in there to leave space for to add something on there. It's the same when you shoot for, let's say, for a band, for a CD cover. You want to leave a lot of space for copy, for text, for titles and things. And well, last but not least, I took them from far away. They are all shot with a telephoto lens, and there are 2 reasons for that. First, that made sure I had enough fog in between me and the trees. I mean, if I shot wide angle, I would have had to get closer, and then the fog wouldn't have been as intense. And the second reason is if you shoot telephoto, you don't see as much of the background. So it's easier to kind of clean up the background, and that together with the fog made for these super clean photos.
Did you have to adjust them in Lightroom at all? Or?
I did a bit of contrast enhancement, and in 1 or 2 of those pictures, I took a little pole out that stuck out from next to the road.
Right.
Just a little visual cleanup.
Can you trust the camera's auto settings to get this right, or do you have to override a little bit?
In this light, just go for it. I mean, just let the camera do its thing. That's the nice thing about this kind of a light situation, with the light bouncing off of everything and not being really directional. It really means that you can just leave the camera on automatic and fix things in post and change the exposure a bit. I mean, the one you just have up with a yellow field in the front and the tree in the back.
5, yeah.
That's mine too. I brought this up a bit. The camera exposed is a bit too low, but it was all easily fixable. So that one I just made a bit brighter and just cranked the color saturation a bit up because it had taken too much color out, and that is what we got there. That's the one I took 2 poles out from.
Yes, that makes a big difference. It's a lone tree in a field. It's stark because it's winter, so the leaves are off the tree. It's somebody in the chat room.
The lines in the field.
Yeah, I like the geometry of the lines. Yeah,
the lines lead to the subject of the tree.
Somebody in the chat room says very lemony snicket. I don't know if you know what that means.
I'll have to look that
up. I'll put a link in the show notes at techguylabs.com to all 5 of these pictures, if you don't mind, so people can see it. I think a lot of people went there because the site really slowed down all of a sudden. You know what? And I think that you've said this before. One of the things that makes a good picture is a picture that evokes emotion, and these are very emotional, right? There's just
but you know why? Because you connect them with something that you might have in a memory somewhere, and they leave a lot of stuff out. So you have all the space in the world to fill in the blanks. So you are actually telling that story now.
I like that. Yeah. This, for instance, I'm thinking this tree is a very lonely tree. Of course, it's not lonely.
You should see the amount of cars that go by every day.
That's not really lonely. In fact, that tree's wishing it were lonely. So here's the deal. TFTTF.com, or actually just go to discoverthetopfloor.com. That's easiest. TFTTF
I'll put a link on there.
Is the acronym of his podcast, which you should listen to. Tips from the Top Floor. TFTTF. But Discover the Top Floor has everything you need to know about Chris Marquardt. And we do have an assignment that we're all working hard on.
Yep, the break assignment. So doesn't mean you have to take a break from the assignment. It means illustrate the word break in any of the over 50 different meanings that there are. So
it's a wide open assignment. It's going to be
an interesting one.
Yeah. What you do after you, and you can do, of course, take as many pictures as you can, but we could submit as many as one a week to our Flickr group. You have to be a member at flickr.com. It's free, no cost. In fact, it's worth doing if you're a photo buff because the comments and everything. It's a great photo sharing site. And then there's within it a tech guy group you'll need to join. Upload your picture, put the word break in the tags so we know what it is. Our moderator, Renee Silverman, will welcome you and accept your photo. And in about 3 weeks, we'll review some of the best. Thank you, Chris.
Absolutely.
DiscoverTheTopFloor.com. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
You're out.
Thank you. All right.
Did you see the new Leica?
If your
Shut
email
up.
inbox is as busy as mine,
The devil. Is this the M? Yeah, I saw it.
Oh, I won't be able to afford that.
It's a rangefinder, though, which I'm not, I know that's Leica's bread and butter, but...
If you're not a rangefinder guy, then that's not for you.
Well, I feel like you're not seeing what you're taking a picture of. It is tiny as a result, right? That's an advantage.
And it's smaller than the M9. It's lighter. It has Wi-Fi, so they're kind of evolving.
Fixed lens, or can I change lenses on it?
Oh, you should be able to change lenses on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, Lisa's interested in a Leica. I'm being attacked. A bunch of people are coming in here.
Did I hear her laugh in the background?
Yes. This is the M10, huh? How just for grins? How much is that?
I think what I heard is €6,500, just the body.
Just the body.
Yeah.
Well, I do have that great 50mm lens. Actually, I think some of the pictures I've seen of the M10 have that 50 aspherical on there. So, wow, that's expensive. Why is it so expensive? Just because the name, or is there really something magic in there?
Well, the Leicas. I mean, I don't own a Leica, but Leicas are. I've played with a lot of them. They are really well built. They're very good from a mechanical point of view. They are very simplified, reduced, so you don't have like a gazillion options to play with.
I like that in my mind, like a Q. It's very straightforward. Yeah.
But you do certainly pay a bit for the name. Leica has the best optics, though, from the lenses point of view. Leica is really, really good.
I don't know if it's the most accurate, but it's definitely a distinctive look that is just lovely.
That's what they do. They have this creamy bokeh that I think no one else can match.
Yeah, they just do something magical.
But you pay for that. Yes, you do.
Well, it's not out yet. I tried to buy it and I can't. So it's safe. I'm safe.
Oh, you just pressed buy and then blame me again?
It's your fault.
It's all my fault.
I do at least have the $9,000 lens that goes with it. So it's really a deal if you think about it.
The camera being cheaper than the lens?
You shouldn't. This is like talking to a heroin addict about some really good smack down in the corner. You're just mean.
I'm going to stop.
Mean.
I will stop. Don't cry. Don't cry. I'll be nice next time.
I'm happy. I'm happy with my Mark IV and my new 25-100.
Oh, I love the Mark IV. Still do. That's
happy.
all shot with the Mark IV today. And
oh yeah. Oh good.
It was
nice.
It's a good workhorse camera.
All right, sir. Maybe I'll
right.
get this for Lisa for her birthday. Valentine's Day. I already got her birthday and anniversary present.
Oh, you did? Okay.
But Valentine's Day is 2 weeks later. I have within 2 weeks birthday, anniversary, and Valentine's Day. It's just not fair.
That's not fair, no. And you should be glad you're not closer to Christmas with that.
I just checked my checking account. I have $4 in it, so I don't think I can afford this.
Oh.
All right, Chris. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I want to welcome all our listeners in San Francisco and the San Francisco Bay Area today on the great KSFO Sunday evening, 7 to 10 p.m. My old stomping grounds. I think was I on Sunday? I think I was on Saturday evenings. But I'm really glad to be back on KSFO, one of the great San Francisco stations. On we go with the show, and Joe in South Bend, Indiana. Hello, Joe.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I am well. How are you?
I'm doing great. The technology gods must have smiled on me today because this is the first time I've ever tried to call you, and I got right through.
That is weird.
So weird.
Your timing is just impeccable. Yeah, it's weird. It's some people try for years and never get in, so I don't really know how that works, but congratulations. It's too bad it really you didn't buy.
I won the lottery.
Yeah, buy a lottery ticket. I think you'd be happy.
Yeah.
What can I do? I'm going to try to make this worthwhile. What can I do? It's not exactly Powerball, but what can I do for you?
It's all good. Hey, okay, so I did a friend a favor, and I installed a television for him. I installed a Blu-ray player, and I also installed a Yamaha ARV. Or AVR, sorry.
The gift that never stops taking.
Yeah.
He'll be calling you for years.
Yeah. So one of the issues that they had was they wanted to get the audio return channel to work because they like to watch Netflix on their smart TV, and they wanted it to come through the sound.
Yeah. So one of the HDMI ports on the TV should be labeled ARC.
That's correct.
So you plug that in. It doesn't really matter what port you plug it into on the you have an AV receiver.
That's correct.
Usually it just works.
Yeah, usually it does. So, well, it didn't work right away. So I figured out that, I went through the settings in the Yamaha, and I had to turn on HDMI control. And I did that, and it started working.
Okay.
Okay, great. We figured it out. We got this going. And then my trouble started. The Blu-ray player seems to have come alive anytime I change.
Oh, yeah. This is another thing called CEC.
Right.
And drives me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And the theory behind CEC is, you're going to love this. Whenever you turn on the Blu-ray player, you don't have to do anything else. The TV, the receiver, everything just knows and handles it for you. The problem is everything's grabbed. Same thing happens to me. Everything when I turn on the receiver in the TV, everything grabs it. So first the Apple TV says, it's my turn. Then the Roku says, no, it's my turn. Then the Shield says, no, it's my turn. And then things that I don't even have want to take over. And it's incredibly frustrating.
Right.
So
what I wanted to do was try to figure out if it's possible to shut off the CEC ability in the Blu-ray player. But I couldn't find any setting in there to be able to do that.
Oh, I see. Because you do want to keep the CEC.
Yeah, well, I have to have the CEC in order for the audio return.
They shouldn't be coupled. ARC and CEC don't shouldn't really be coupled, but maybe you have to signal to the receiver somehow that the audio is coming from the TV, and it uses CEC to do that.
The receiver changes. It has to go to.
So is it a separate control for HDMI control and CEC control, or is that the same switch?
From what I could tell in the settings of the Yamaha, they are related. One has to be on for the other to work.
Interesting.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah. CEC is a nightmare. For one thing, it's not even called CEC on many TVs. I think Samsung calls it AnyLink, and they're just all different words for it. It's all the same idea. Its implementation, and usually is very variable, and usually that means that the spec was too loose, and so different companies implement it in different ways. My experience with ARC, the audio return channel, has been that it's just pretty much automatic, that it just should work. I don't know now what to do. You don't. So I guess the Blu-ray player should have a setting to not use CEC. Although I've never seen that setting in any of the peripherals. Now that I think about it, Roku's don't have it. Apple TVs don't have it. I guess they just assume that that it's going to be controlled by the AV receiver or the TV. Hey, caramba! Anybody? Okay, I'm looking at the chat room for this.
Setting I can think of.
Yeah.
I'm looking in there right now too.
Aren't you glad you helped your friend? That's all I can say. And you know, you're asking the wrong guy, because I've lived with this nightmare for years.
Okay.
Where it's just I'll be watching a show, and for no reason at all, the screen goes dark, and all of a sudden the Apple TV's up and running. It just drives me nuts.
Fortunately, we haven't had problems like that in my house. But with his, for some reason, that Blu-ray player. We've even tried We've tried different Blu-ray players.
What are the brands of the AV receiver and the TV?
Okay, the AVR is the Yamaha RX 481.
Okay.
The DVD player is...
That's also a Yamaha. What's the TV?
The TV is an LG 65UH 8500.
So I have an LG as well.
Okay.
I'm using a Denon AV receiver, and I have the same problems, so I don't know what to say. Yamaha's fine. It may just, I don't know, maybe you have to live with it. I'm looking at the chat room, as you see, people are saying, this is, I think it's because things are just not well implemented. You know, CEC is notoriously poor implementation on many, many TVs. Somebody's saying that the ARC standard is part of CEC, so I guess on some machines you would have to have both enabled.
Okay. Well, that would explain why when I went into the Yamaha settings, as soon as I turned on
it worked.
My control,
then
it gave me the option to turn ARC on or off.
Yeah. Well, you got me.
Sounds like I'm SOL.
Yeah, I mean, what a lot of people do is they get a universal remote like a Logitech Harmony and turn off CEC.
I actually did install one for them. It's a Harmony 650. It's an older one, but we got it for $30 and it worked great. As a matter of fact, I use one in my house and I have no problems with it.
Problem is, if you turn off CRC, the audio return channel stops working, right?
Correct. Now, the other option is I could run a digital optical cable, and but then I'm adding something else. You know, there's one other.
Yeah, but usually that's the recommended way to connect your TV sound to your AV receiver, and I bet you have a free Toslink port.
Yep.
Since most people don't have any optical devices, that might be happy. Burke says, turn off all CEC control over HDMI stuff to be happy. But then you're not going to get the audio return channel.
Then I've got to put in the digital optical.
Yeah, you know what? Everybody, every time I see a setup, it's strongly encouraged to use the digital optical as opposed to audio return over HDMI. It should be the same, bits as bits, but at least it would avoid this whole issue.
Yep, I agree. I just wanted to know if maybe you knew of a workaround.
Yeah, well, I don't, because I'm suffering the same problem. But mostly that's because, like I bet you most of you, we just suffer in silence. We just go, well, computers, what are you going to do? and we just labor along with this ineffective system. I'll tell you what, keep listening maybe, or stay in the chat room. Somebody will come up with something, maybe. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. We'll get back to the phones. More of your calls, another hour to come on the Tech Guy Show. Website, of course, is Tech Guy Labs. If you hear something on the show or you want to add something, go there. We have a comment section too. TechGuyLabs.com. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk about computers and the internet. Well, and much more than that, really. Anything with a chip in it. Home theater, with digital photography. We talk about smartphones, of course. The computer in your pocket. Smart watches, the computer on your wrist. Apple's AirPods, the computer in your ear. Why, the only place we don't have... No, I better not go on with that. We also talk about virtual reality headsets and self-driving cars and all of the kind of technologies are changing the world all around us. My phone number, if you want to talk, is 8888 Ask Leo, 888-827-5536. Toll free anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. We're also on the web, techguylabs.com, if you want to make a comment or suggestion, or can't really ask questions there, but you can view all the previous questions and my answers, and even audio and video from the shows after the fact. techguylabs.com, and it's free. There's no sign up. I don't need that. I don't need that. Nope. You can keep your privacy. Scott, Costa Mesa, California. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Leo. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Excellent, thank you. You recently purchased a Dell Optiplex 960 that had Windows 10 installed on it, and I'm finding that it does not have the sound mixer, however, and I found this out the hard way as I loaded SoundForge onto this thing to do some audio restoration, and the sound is not exactly what I want.
Now, okay. It should have had a sound mixer on it. You're sure, maybe when you loaded SoundForge, it replaced it? Or you're pretty sure it wasn't there ever?
I'm pretty sure it wasn't there.
All right. Well, the easiest thing to do, I'm sure the hardware is there. So it's just a question of getting the right software installed. If you go to the Dell Optiplex site, you can download drivers. Get them. Usually the sound card is on the motherboard drivers because the sound is actually off the motherboard. I'm not sure off the top of my head which sound system it uses. Probably it's Realtek. That's what almost everybody uses these days. So if Dell has a Realtek driver, you could use that instead. But my guess it'll be in the it is a business computer. No, they had sound. Did you?
I just find it real. It was just really weird because I right-clicked on the little speaker icon, and the only thing I show is a microphone and stuff like that. So that's why I'm thinking, okay, well, what's going on here?
Yeah. Okay. It might not show up as a right-click on the taskbar.
Oh.
So that might be one of the issues here. And there are, this is not a problem I've had, but I bet you there are. So first thing I would do is see if installing the drivers in the Dell site doesn't help. And then I would bet you that there are third-party. So the question is what the sound card is. And I'm looking here and I see another possibility, which is SoundMax. Some of the Optiplexes have a SoundMax sound card. But I'm going to guess it's Realtek. But maybe not. So make sure the sound card is enabled in the BIOS. If there's a switch to turn that off, I don't see why there would be. And if you can figure out whose sound card it is, and you can see that by going to the device manager, do the Windows key X, select device manager from the menu, and then look at the sound device, and you'll be able to see immediately who the manufacturer is. If it doesn't work to get the Dell drivers, go to the manufacturer site and see if they have a third-party driver.
Okay.
And then I'm wondering, if you hit Windows key and type MIXER, probably it'll stop after MIX. If it doesn't pop up with something that says mixer,
Well, I did which one was it? The search? No, not search. So I'm kind of new to Windows 10. I mostly work off Macs, and so this computer is specifically just to do this.
Yeah. So one of the great tips for Windows 10 is you hit the Windows key and just start typing. Nothing will come up, but you just start typing, and it will show you then in the Start menu. You'll be narrowing it down as you type. M will show a bunch of stuff that begins with M, MI, MIX. By then, you should see Mixer. And so that may be the way that you launch it instead of from the taskbar, from the system tray.
Yeah, I'm typing in Mixer, and all I get is adjust system volume.
So they don't. Yeah, so that's it. They didn't give you a full mixer. So try getting it. Maybe my guess maybe is that they don't give you a full mixer, in which case there might be a third party. So what model of the Optiplex do you have? Just so I can.
960.
960. Yeah, you said that. We'll get somebody in the chat room to kind of see if there's a third party sound mixing solution that you could install that would give you more capability. Because for SoundForge, you probably want, access to the channels, the sources for recording, things like that.
Yeah. And right now, I'm less than thrilled with how it's turning out so far. They're not what I'm expecting.
Yeah. Apparently, somebody. Burke's saying something now. You may need to install ASIO drivers for SoundForge. So those are special I/O drivers that the SoundForge needs because it's higher. It's professional audio recording.
Right.
So, now I would think the SoundForge install would do that, but it might have been an option that you didn't check when you went through the install. So, ASIO.
Mm-hmm.
Get those drivers for SoundForge. That probably will have what you need.
Oh, okay.
Thanks to the chat room. Thanks to Burke. Burke knows. That's how I met Burke. Burke works for us, actually. And we met him because we had a mixer that wasn't working. We brought it and he fixed it. And we said, would you like a job? And he's been fixing my mixers ever since. He's my mixer fixer.
Come to the rescue.
Digital mixers he knows too, apparently. Yeah, see if that works, Scott. And if not, we'll keep an eye on the webpage or keep listening. Maybe we'll come up with another answer. Yeah, of course, the ASIO drivers are kind of more pro additional drivers. Jim in Las Vegas, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Jim.
Hello, Leo.
How are you?
I'm better than I deserve.
I doubt that very much.
And I've been listening to you, and I'm dating both of us since the old Tech TV days.
Ah, yes.
But, Leo, my question is, I'm blind, and I've got the digital personal assistant, the Amazon Echo.
Oh, we love the Amazon Echo.
And I've got a couple of quick items. Number one, are you considering devoting maybe a small segment to evaluating apps or the pros and cons on its capabilities?
You know what? As the Echo becomes more and more dominant, I am, because now there's 6,000 or 7,000, they call them skills on the Echo. There's so many that you can't really track them.
Right, and the descriptions when you go to invoke a skill or research it aren't that detailed.
I agree.
Specific, and that's really a problem because you could have multiple versions of for a specific skill, and you're still in the dark about them. But there are 40 million low vision, blind, and dyslexic people in this country.
Isn't it a boon, right?
And, not to mention the world where this thing is tremendously...
Yes, it's like an assistant, a personal assistant. I mean, I use my Echo all the time, one in every room now, because I can't live without her.
Right, and I've got 3 of them, and I've got a small place.
Well, and you know what's great is once the Dot came out at $50, then it really became more affordable than the $200 version. So I was pleased for that.
Now, 2 other really quick issues. What I'm looking for is a way just to receive audio from YouTube, since the videos of no use to me.
Yeah.
Can you recommend?
I don't know of a skill that will play audio from YouTube, but of course, if you pair your phone via Bluetooth to the Echo, you could play the YouTube video from the phone and capture the audio through the Echo. Hang on a sec. We got to take a break. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
You're out.
So I think a lot of people who have Echoes don't realize it can be used as a Bluetooth device, not only for playback, but even you can even talk to it.
Right.
So that would be one way to it. I don't think there's a YouTube skill. Let me look. I've never seen a YouTube skill.
I think they said that it's not available yet, which almost led me to believe that they may.
It's not hard to write skills. So, if it's really up to YouTube to say, there really ought to be a skill.
Okay. The last quick thing, Leo, is on the news, and I think this was for California, and I may have heard it on KFI, is that there was a home invasion, and the occupant was able to record the invasion.
Wow.
Through the Alexa. Do you know Do you know what skill or app that might have been linked to third-party? It might have even had to be linked and connected to a third-party app, maybe even one of the home monitoring systems. But I just don't know, and I'd like to have that, get that if possible.
So he was the presumption is, I always wonder when I read mainstream reports about this kind of thing, that he was able to say, Alexa, record this.
Exactly, and they said it went to the cloud, and it almost speaks to me about maybe they had the Internet of Things, maybe a home hub that was connected to a third-party app or service or something that maybe did home monitoring and had an Alexa feature as an adjunct.
Yeah, because, we've seen a couple of law enforcement warrants asking Amazon for any audio that might have been captured by an Echo device during a murder. But that would just be incidental audio captured because somebody accidentally said the A word or something. So let me see if there's I'm going to have to do some Echo skill searching here.
And also, they said that law enforcement could use that recording as evidence.
Yeah, sure. If it were recorded. Let me see. That would be cool to have a recorder. Just say, "Hey, Echo, record this."
Well, yeah, and also right now in my home office, I record, conversations and things because I can't take written notes, obviously. And that's another feature that I'd like to use, for my home office, is to record our conversations. And Amazon right now won't do that directly because of privacy issues. But somewhere out there, because of this home invasion recording, there's a way to record.
Well, if the reporting on that is accurate.
Well, that's true. But you said that Amazon had requested.
The law enforcement had requested Amazon to turn it down, but as far as I know, they didn't have any supposition that Amazon would have the entire event. They were just hoping at some point somebody might have shouted. Every once in a while, the Echo can get triggered by accident. I'm looking, I don't see any skill that will allow longer recordings. And we know that Echo, in fact, does not record unless you say the keyword in it, and even then it will only record for a little bit. So I suspect that this may be just inaccurate media reporting. I'll look, though, for you.
Okay. Do you know the keyword to invoke that short recording?
Well, if you just say the keyword, it's recording at that point, and you can go into your Alexa app and see what you said.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but I don't know when it stops. I'll have to try it and see how long I can go for. At some point, unless you never pause, I think it's going to run out. I got to run. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo, the phone number. We were talking about Amazon's Echo, and there are a couple of things of interest here. One of the things our caller wanted is some sort of voice recorder. And while Amazon now has well over 6,000 I'm not going to say that word, Echo skills. I think it's almost 7,000 Echo skills now. I have doing a search. I don't see a voice recorder. He also wanted a way to play back YouTube audio, and it'd be great to have a YouTube app for the Echo. But as far as I know, there isn't one. That would probably be something that somebody could easily write. Then he mentioned this. There was apparently a story about a home invasion, and there was a recording on the Echo of the invasion that the police wanted to use. Now, this may be misreporting of the facts by the mainstream media. Remember, a lot of times the reporters don't have an Echo, don't really understand how the Echo works. And maybe this was precipitated by a recent warrant from law enforcement, a murder that occurred, or supposedly occurred, I think it was in Florida. The police subpoenaed Amazon for the data, any data that the Echo might have in this murder case. I guess it was Bentonville, Arkansas. My apologies. So they issued a warrant to Amazon to hand over any audio. To my knowledge, that was a fishing expedition, just in case. You know, sometimes the Echo wakes up and then says, I have no idea what you're talking about. Maybe that's what they're hoping for. I think some people in the press believe, and this is incorrect, that the Echo is always recording. And maybe some people in the Bentonville, Arkansas Police Department think that too. It is not. The way all voice-activated devices work is pretty similar. It has stored in its memory the keywords, the trigger words. And it does listen all the time. It's always receiving audio and matching the bits it receives to the waveform of that trigger word. And then and only then does it open up the connection back to the home office for interpretation. So it's in one ear and out the other, in effect. Just like a human, right? And we do this. You know, if you're at a party and somebody says your name, even if they're way on the other side of the room, you somehow hear it, right? It's just like that. You're hearing all this stuff. It's going in one ear, coming out the other until they say your name, and then you go, what? That's basically what's going on with the Amazon Echo. So it wouldn't have a recording of a murder or a home invasion unless somebody had said her key name, and then it would only record at most 15 seconds. So it's probably a fishing expedition from this Bentonville, Arkansas Police Department trying to solve this crime. They also, interestingly, subpoenaed the water records for the house. Without going into too much detail, the victim was found dead in a hot tub. And one of the reasons the Arkansas police arrested the owner of the house, the owner of the hot tub, is because when they checked his water records, they noticed abnormal water use at 2 a.m. And they hypothesized that the guy was washing away bloodstains. So you have devices in your house that are listening all the time and may be of use in police work. But I don't believe that the Echo currently has a skill for recording. Wouldn't that be nice, though, if you could say, hey, Echo, record this. But remember, it doesn't have enough memory or storage to record anything on itself. It would have to send all the audio it hears up to the cloud, and it would presumably use enough bandwidth that Amazon might be reluctant to allow such an application, right? Because that's going to use their bandwidth too. You're going to be, I don't know. Somebody said maybe they're looking for Echo searches on how to get rid of bloodstains. You know what? Maybe. I bet you anything they look at the computer history, the browser history, right? Sure they do. We're leaving data trails behind us all the times now. Dick in Rochester, New York. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Dick.
Hello. Hi, Leo.
Hi.
I've had Dish Network for 20 years.
Wow.
And I think it's time for me to cut the cord and get some online streaming TV.
There's going to be a sad satellite up there somewhere.
Well, is my 3 megabyte connection?
No. Is that all you got? 3 megabits down?
Yeah.
You need to upgrade your connection.
Yeah, I probably could do that, but I don't know how much that is.
Well, it's going to cost you. This is, by the way, it's interesting how this all has kind of worked out, that getting rid of your cable company or your satellite company ends up not saving you money. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Well, then I got to get a box, and I can't find any place to compare the boxes.
Well, what you need to do is I'll help you with that, but what you need to do first, before you even bother with that, is talk to the internet service providers, not necessarily your current one, but whatever's out, available to you in Rochester, and see what bandwidth you can get. Now, in general, I would say if you want to watch streaming television, you probably want a service that is at the very least 10 megabits per second.
Yeah, okay.
And 15 to 20 would be much more desirable if you're watching HD.
I don't think there's anything that's that fast at this point.
Yeah. And by the way, 4K, 50 megabits per second.
Yeah, I don't have 4K yet.
Yeah.
But then the services too, like what services get like Discovery Channel and History Channel? Those are things I'm interested in. Not sports, not
right. So you want some basic cable channels?
Yeah.
So what you're going to do is there are 3 services I know of right now that offer the channels that you're looking for. AT&T offers one. It's called DirecTV Now. It's DirecTV, but it's terrible. Don't go there. Everybody who has it is so unhappy right now. So that's not one you're going to probably want to use. Sling TV at slingtv.com is another one. That's from Dish.
That works. Yeah. No, I see their ads all over.
Oh, interesting. So 2 of them so far are from DirecTV and Dish. The third one is from a kind of a dark horse, but is probably the best of the 3. It's from Sony.
Oh, really?
It's called Sony View, V-U-E. If you Google Sony View, you'll see they have different packages, and you can. I'm not sure which package has Discovery, but they have many of the basic cable channels. And in some areas, they even offer live locals. I don't think in Rochester.
That's okay. I have a antenna on the roof for local broadcast.
Okay.
But,
so you don't need that. You just want.
Actually, hook that into one of the boxes too.
Yeah. So I would look at PlayStation View will run on a Roku. Won't run on an Apple TV, but it'll run on many of the set-top boxes that are designed to get your TV on the internet. Roku would be probably my first choice.
Oh, okay.
PlayStation View, V-U-E. That's of the 3, almost certainly your best choice. You don't want to go back to the satellite companies. You just got out from under their thumb.
Well, they raising the price again too. Of course,
I know they are.
It's gone up.
But that's why I'm saying it's not a coincidence that cord cutting doesn't save money, because the cable companies, the content creators, the internet service providers, and the telcos have all seen this coming.
Oh yeah.
So they're just going to adjust things because they're going to make. It's their goal to continue to make the same amount of money they were making all along.
Oh yeah.
So you won't save money, but you get the pleasure of sticking it to the man, and of at least choosing what you get.
That's what I really want.
Yeah,
yes.
And I would look at View for that. It's actually very good. A lot of people use it. Very happy with it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Miller Tech says, I'm sad to say that the History Channel is not on PlayStation View. Is that true? Because it feels like they had all the basic cable stuff. That's a shame. And they have apps for... They have an Apple TV app. That's nice. I didn't know that. Roku, Fire TV, Android TV, and Apple TV. So pretty much everything. Pretty much everything. You got to get the right package, of course. So let me see their packages. Let's see. So you pick. Let's pick Ultra. That's. Yeah, no history. That's so weird. But they do have Discovery, right? Yeah, they do have Discovery. Why wouldn't they? Isn't history from the Discovery Channel? Huh. Well, that's a bummer. But that's the point. It was kind of at this weird inflection point on... Nope. Sling and DirecTV do have the History Channel, but unfortunately, Sling's all right. Sling TV's all right. Bad news. The chat room's done some research. Turns out my favorite of the 3 streamers, the cord cutters delights, the PlayStation View, does not carry the History Channel. They have Discovery, but not the History Channel. But Sling TV does, and AT&T's DirecTV Now does. I'd really hesitate recommending DirecTV Now at this point. I'm sure it'll get better, but all sorts of problems being reported around it. I never was able to get it to work reliably. It blacked out a lot, and apparently I'm not alone. Everybody's complaining about it. So maybe Sling TV would be the best one of the three. We're at a very early stage of this conversion to internet television, and a lot of the content creators are very reluctant to jump on board. They're, for a variety of reasons. 8888 ask Leo. Ed in Pennsylvania. That's your turn. Hi, Ed.
Hello, Leo. Let's see how good you are with vintage electronics.
Well, I'm a vintage electronics guru, so
well, I'm vintage as well. My daughter just got a job of coaching junior high school basketball team.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and back about 15 years or so ago, I coached her and my other two daughters, and I purchased a Sony Digital 8 video camera.
Oh, wow.
And it recorded in analog and in digital.
Yes, I remember those.
Yeah, so it worked out perfectly. All three girls got full scholarships. So my daughter,
congratulations,
asked the parents of the team members to videotape the games so that she could accomplish the same kind of results. The problem is everybody has iPads. They're shaking. They're videotaping the wrong stuff, and she's really getting frustrated. So last weekend, I pulled out the old Digital 8 video camera, plugged it in, and it works. But the problem is I'm having a heck of a time trying to find tapes for it. So I pulled out the old manual, and it said it could record directly to a PC.
Ah.
But the only PC that I have is a 5-pound Toshiba laptop computer, and I'm not gonna give that away to somebody to videotape the game. So,
well, I'm trying to think back to my old Hi8 camcorder. What is the output of that you could record directly? What kind of connection does it have?
It has something called a FireWire.
Ah, FireWire.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there's some vintage electronics. Yeah.
Regular connection on it, and I was trying to figure out a way to record right to a thumb drive, but
no. Yeah, this is wow. So there's a couple of drawbacks to this. First of all, it's not high def.
Exactly.
And so even something recorded on a shaky iPad is going to be higher quality.
But it's good enough for what she's trying to do.
Yeah. I don't think this is worth your energy, to be honest with you. You're going to have to find some way. You're probably going to have to find a FireWire. Sony called it iLink, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
IEEE 1394 is the actual technical term. You're going to have to find a FireWire drive, which you might be able to find. You could maybe find a FireWire enclosure. It's a dead technology. That's the problem. Recently dead. That's the good news. So somebody may still sell an external FireWire hard drive enclosure that you could put a drive in. I think you'd be so much better off, and it would probably be cheaper to use something else. And there are lots of ways to record video now that are going to look better than the shaky cam iPad video that you were getting.
Yeah, well, the only drawback is I have a monopod, a tripod, a counterweighted shoulder holster. So I'm from a hardware standpoint, I'm geared up for this size and heft camera. The ones that I looked at Amazon that are in the price range are a lot smaller. I'm 6'6" and I got huge hands. And I wrap my hand around the entire camera. So I'm looking for something that's.
Here's a crazy thought. You can buy inexpensively a tripod adapter for an iPad.
Oh, yeah.
The drawback to the iPad is, unlike your Sony camcorder, it doesn't have zoom.
Right.
So I don't know how much you zoom it. You probably don't zoom it a lot. You probably kind of have it out midway, right? Because you want a broader shot. You're not trying to follow one player the whole time.
Well, no, but during foul shots, we'll zoom on the player to make sure
yeah. So you need a camcorder. I think you'd be better off getting a
zoom out. So
yeah.
We are zooming in and out all the time.
All right. So, yeah, an iPad is a bad choice. I think you're probably going to want to the simplest, easiest way to be get a newer camcorder that records digitally to an SD card. And then that's going to be much. It probably won't even be more expensive these days. They're a few $100. Getting a FireWire hard drive or a FireWire to. I just don't. I think that's a kludgy solution that's already out of date. Plus, if you got a modern, like say a Canon camcorder, it would be high def. Much better quality than your Sony. I know that Sony. I had a Sony Hi8. I love that. Those were great.
Yeah.
But times have changed.
Well, she has no budget, so she was trying to do it on the shoe.
Yeah, I understand. Well, you can't do it for free because you're going to have to buy some sort of converter, at least, to convert the output of that and a hard drive to record it on.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give her the good news.
Yeah, I mean, that FireWire. But the good news is, actually, there is good news. Camcorders are really cheap now. Even a point-and-shoot camera. Maybe somebody in the parents has an old, just a little Canon ELPH PowerShot. It's got a tripod thread. It's got zoom. It shoots great video. You don't need to buy a camcorder. Any still camera will do this just as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Find a parent with every one of your parents has a digital camera. Right?
Okay.
I bet your daughter. Come on, surely your daughter has a digital camera.
No, well, yeah, but for still shots, but it's not. They're still taking pictures with their iPhones.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is even still cameras now are being replaced by camera phones. But if you could find somebody with an old digital camera, all digital cameras do video. And worst case scenario, you can go out and buy a brand new point and shoot Canon or Pentax or Fuji for $100. I mean, not kidding, $100. That's going to be cheaper than the hard drive FireWire solution for sure.
All right, we could probably afford that.
Sorry.
Around.
Sorry. I know you want to use that old Hi8 camcorder, but I just don't see a way to do it economically.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I called. Well, thanks a lot.
All right. Sometimes I have to bring you bad news. Maybe listen. Hey, chat room, you got a solution for them? They were talking about FireWire to USB adapters. I don't know. USB 2 is not going to be fast enough. FireWire was 800 megabits a second. That's faster than USB 2. You need FireWire to USB 3. And how much is that going to be? Then you got to get a hard drive. Find a $100 point and shoot. That's going to be cheaper. Isn't it? I mean, I see converters, FireWire to USB converters, but that's I don't think those are $4. But I don't know. Maybe it's FireWire 400. You're saying? All right, well, boy, you'd be so much better off.
I mean, it's not a file. You got to play it back. So you have to capture.
Yeah.
You need video.
You have video capture software. Well, you can't just. That's right. Of course. That's right. You can't just, it doesn't just record to that hard drive. Yeah, the idea was you'd hook a laptop up to it and it would use video capture. That's right. So even then, you're not going to do it. 8888, Ask Leo. Maybe you got a better solution. One more segment to go. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
You're out.
Yeah, it's going to be 640 by 480. It's not going to be good quality.
Yeah, you want to zoom.
Just get a cheap point and shoot.
Yeah. What's the
I think you can get an ELPH for $108. Let me just check here. $123. $139. There's one for $119. PowerShot ELPH. This shoots video. Let's see what the zoom is. 720p video. That's much better than the camcorder. It's $120. It's refurbished. 20 megapixel sensor. Here's a $119. That's probably the same one, yeah. It's just a different color. Here's one with a 12x zoom and 1080p recording. $98.80. Plus it has a thread on the bottom, so you put it right on the tripod. It works with your tripod. Records to an SD card. Full 1080p video. And it's 12x zoom. There you go. $98. I think that's cheaper than anything else you could do. It's got to be. This is why that you can't even get a flip cam anymore, because these have gotten so cheap. This is actually a great little camera. Doesn't have a high 8 mode. Yeah, it's PowerShot L520, under $100, refurb, I think. Probably has a Zeiss lens for all I know. A Vixia recorder, which is what we're using here, those are $199. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Every time I hear this, I think somebody's screaming in the background. 8888, ask Leo. Brett in Woodbridge, New Jersey, you're next. Hi, Brett.
I like your music. Jump around.
Jump around.
Yes, I have a question because I have Windows 10 anniversary. I called you before, and it's okay now. But
oh, good.
I'm using the Windows Defender, and all day long it keeps saying I am unprotected. Windows needs to do a scan, and I scan, and every 3-4 minutes it just says I'm unprotected.
Even if you scan, huh?
Huh?
Even if you scan.
Yeah, even if I scan. It just keeps
there's a little flag in your task menu right down on the right there. A little red flag. Right click on that and open it up, and it'll tell you it'll tell you all the things. It'll tell you what's unprotected. I don't
have a red flag, but if I click on the Windows, but if I click on that arrow on the right and then I click on the Windows, it will say PC status pro technically unprotected.
You first of all, when you're in there, you can turn those notifications off, which you probably want to do.
But this is nothing serious. It's just a notification.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything serious. But what you want to do is look at the screen that tells you what's unprotected. So it may be that you don't have protection updates turned on, right? Which means you don't have the latest update. So if you want to be as safe as possible, turn all that stuff on. So that's probably what it is that your real-time protection isn't turned on, or your definitions aren't up to date. And
everything is up to date.
It is.
Protection on, virus and spyware definitions up to date.
Huh.
You haven't run your scan on your PC
well,
for a while.
do a thorough scan. See if that resets it. You can turn off that notification. It shouldn't be notifying you right after you do a scan, unless it's somehow not registering the scan, which is completely possible.
I just want to make sure that it's still protecting me.
Yeah. If you've run a scan, it's okay. Just turn off that notification. That's annoying.
I just want to say thank you, because now when I go to my tablet to watch on my Chromecast, your live feed goes to YouTube, and I can cast it.
Yeah, we're really happy. We decided to turn on YouTube Live for all the shows we do.
But I just have a question. Why is it when I watch it from the tablet, it's always buffering? Is that because it's a live feed?
Yeah. But if it doesn't buffer on a desktop, for instance, it just maybe the tablet's doesn't have enough horsepower to keep up with it. Buffering merely means that I wasn't able to keep up, so I'm going to I dropped some packets. The way a stream works is it gets ahead by about 30 seconds, so that if occasionally it drops a packet, it can keep playing it. But every packet it drops, it shrinks that buffer. And when a buffer gets to 0, when it's gone from 30 to 29 to 28 to 5 to 4 to 3, 2, 1 to 0 seconds, then it says, all right, I've run out of buffer. I got to reload it. So we're going to pause for 30 seconds. All it's doing, it continues to download it, but it just doesn't play it for 30 seconds. So it's like you're watching your TiVo 30 seconds later.
Because watching my regular videos on YouTube, they play fine because they're not live. It's only the live feed only, And that's what's making me...
Yeah, it may be that feed is higher density, higher resolution than the ones you're usually watching. I'm not sure.
But you're doing a good job.
Thank you.
Because you never charge for anything.
It's free. And thank you to Google and YouTube, because that's free too for us. So that's nice.
I love my Chromecast.
I do too. YouTube.com/twit is our channel, youtube.com/twit.
Oh,
And
yeah, that's where I get your live feed from. Well, I used
just
to,
a cautionary tale. What you're watching isn't really the show. You're watching the behind-the-scenes video of the show. So occasionally, as happened a few minutes ago, a fleeting expletive might fly across the internet. It doesn't go on the radio, but things happen on the live stream that don't happen on the radio. Just so you know.
I like your live stream better because when you finally update it later on tonight, when you finally
we'll cut out stuff,
put it on YouTube.
Yeah,
you don't put the whole.
We cut out the swear words,
and then you cut out the music. And you have,
yeah, no, you get more if you watch the live feed. You get more. I always feel like people don't understand what they're watching when they're watching the live feed. You're not watching a show. You're watching a show being made.
But you're seeing all the outtakes.
Warts and all.
It's funny.
You're seeing the outtakes. That's exactly right.
You're a funny guy, you know.
Yeah, funny how? Do I make you laugh?
Yeah, that's what's keeping me young because you're so funny.
Hey, that's great. Thank you, Brett. I'm glad you watch. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.
All right, bye.
Take care. Do I amuse you? Back to Los Angeles we go. John on the line. Hey, John.
Hey, Leo, thanks for taking my call. Two quick questions. First, I heard you talk about a hardware password on a Mac. I never heard about that before.
Yes.
And second of all, I'm just got a new a rolling briefcase, and I'm wondering if I put my laptop in it, is it going to cause problems? And do I have to have the laptop off or?
You mean because of the bouncing around?
Yeah, exactly.
No. That's
and I can have it on too. I don't know.
Yeah, no. Once you put it, you won't have it on like opening the screen on. You'll have closed it and put it to sleep. And when you do that, the hard drive heads retract. If it's a modern Mac, it doesn't even have hard drive heads. It has solid state. No, you're not going to bounce it enough to damage it in any way.
Okay.
Now, there is something called on a Mac. This is what our caller was talking about: a firmware password. That means somebody can't even get into your Mac unless they know the password. So let's say somebody steals your laptop. You don't have to worry because they can't get into it. So there's two ways to protect yourself. One is, of course, the file vault disk encryption. I always turn that on. That's easy. It's a no-brainer. There's no penalty for it. It doesn't slow you down. But you can also set a firmware password which keeps your Mac from starting up from anything else besides your designated startup disk. And what that means is a bad guy can't start it up with certain tools to crack your disk. The way you do that is you shut down your Mac and you hold down Command and R and then restart it. Command and R as in recovery. And that, in fact, will launch the OS X recovery partition. And then if you look in the utilities menu, you'll see a firmware password entry there. It's and that you can just use and set a password. Don't forget it, though.
I got you.
Don't forget it. You forget it, you're out of luck. And then when you restart after that, you'll be asked for that password before you can start it up. And that's I do that on most of the computers, like laptops that I carry around. That way, even if somebody steals your laptop, if you've got the disk encryption and the firmware password, you're golden. Even the Border Patrol, the security forces, the FSB, the Russian Secret Service, none of them can get in there.
Great. Thank you so much, Lou. You're the best.
My pleasure. Thanks for listening. Thank you all for listening. Hey, we got to give some credit to Michael Cosio. He is my musical director. He stands there baton in hand, making sure that every time we come back from a break, we come back with some fun, interesting, and often apropos music. He likes the musical pun, does Michael. Thanks also to Kim Schaffer, our phone ranger. We didn't come up with a good nickname for Kim. We'll find one. Answering the phones, and most importantly, thanks to all of you for joining me. Couldn't do this show without you. I hope you have a great Geek Week. Have some fun with your technology. Make a difference. Change the world. And I'll be right back here next week to do it with you all over again. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Bye-bye. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, it's just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows on the Netcast network. It's called TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on. and on. You even get your daily dose of tech news with Tech News Today. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.